Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. We're here with some more worldwide content. EZA TEQ Trunks is going to be tested out against Red Zone Metal Cooler Core. I have to say the first rotation though for him isn't the best, but at least he's not floating, so that's kind of the silver lining we can take. Because if he was, actually to be fair, he's not Zamasu. I was gonna say, does it really matter if he doesn't appear like before we go into Cooler Core? And it's kind of a yes and no. Zamasu, you want him to appear just so you can get more defense, even though he doesn't necessarily need it, but it's nice to have. Of course, Trunks, he stacks attack before he transforms. So I'm like, does it really matter if he misses out on like a stack, maybe two of attack before he transforms if he was floating? That one's a double-edged sword. That is a yes and no. Because number one, defense is a little bit more important. Like, they're both important stats to have, but defense is more important because you need to survive. But him doing some extra damage wouldn't go amiss, considering once we use his active skill, we're going for that big guaranteed crit. We're going for high numbers. We're going for the big damage. I have to say though, this first phase is probably the most vulnerable I think you would ever see Trunks, because yeah, it's tightness advantage. Yes, he does get a 50% raise of defense, which is for again, I never understand why, I still don't, why they made that 3 turns, because he's only in this form for 1. It doesn't make sense. But he will get a 50% defense raise, and that's it, while having tightness advantage, and he only has 172k defense. So I'm going to do something that I haven't done since this event probably first dropped, and that is I'm using an item on this phase just in case Trunks is to be super attacked, and I'd rather avoid that, or if he does, at least he's got the damage reduction that he doesn't end up getting us killed. So as I said, this is probably the most vulnerable that Trunks is ever going to be. I mean, technically he is kind of vulnerable even when he transforms for those first few turns, but that's something we've gone over so many times. But with him having tightness advantage here, and literally just a 50% defense raise, he could easily just get absolutely annihilated by a super attack from Cooler Army. The double would have been nice, but it's not meant to be. Actually, we did get the double. We did get the double. I completely forgot he's got 50% chance. It is passive to have one, and of course there's dupes. Of course, double digits on basics. We avoid the super fantastic. But at least we managed to avoid that, otherwise we would have took so much damage, like so much. And then Gogeta can do his thing in slot 3 where he's going to have type advantage next phase, and he's going to be doing his 70% chance to dodge as well. The only thing is, I'm probably going to need to keep a Whis active ready in Cooler Core, because again, Trunks will be ever so slightly vulnerable there. Because, of course, as soon as he transforms, he finally gets to stack some attack. I say finally like it's a long time, but he does get to stack attack by then. But the only problem is, considering how much damage Cooler Core can do and Trunks only having his defense to rely on. And yes, it's passive, but again, we're stuck waiting 4 turns for that. I'm not gonna lie, it's a big risk. It's a big risk. Like, I don't want to just rehash things I've already said, but like, it just, the guard on supers, like in transforming Super Saiyan, having guard would have been very helpful. Like, very helpful, especially with having to wait 4 turns for his passive to fully build up. Like, that would have been better if it was done on attacks, but you know, if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna balance him in that way, give him the guard for 4 turns, because at least that way his passive's fully built up, where you're having to wait 4 turns before he does get his full passive. And he's also got that coverage while you're stacking him for those early few turns once he's just turned into Super Saiyan. The only problem is Vegeta and Trunks have only just made their first appearance and stacked once, and we still haven't got them on rotation with Trunks just yet. So that's another thing, but at least Orange Piccolo and Tech God Goku's here to do their thing. Okay, Piccolo is sealed, so he's not really doing too much of his thing. We have 394k defense. Of course, we're going to go above that once we super. We could go well above that if he does hit an additional, or the potential system additional, or both. So for the time being, of course, we're just going to run it like this. It doesn't matter what we give Piccolo because he can't super anyway. So we'll just give him the strength key sphere down here. Get a nice lineup of Fizz Orbs. I was about to say, as long as Cooler doesn't super attack Trunks, we should be good. We're fine. And thank God he didn't, even though we're still going to take a decent amount. But if he was to be super attacked there, we're dead. We literally get one-shotted. We literally get one-shotted. Because Cooler Core is like one of the shorter red zone stages. I say shorter. It's shorter before you get to the toughest part of the event. It's the shortest in terms of build-up. Like you take such a massive leap to one of the hardest hitting enemies in the game that just relying on Trunks stacking, even if he appeared on turn 1 and we got a couple stacks in, even some additionals, because that means we would have got him into SSJ on the final turn before you enter Cooler Core, he would only have a little bit extra defense, which it just isn't enough. I mean, obviously, because you hate, like, Cooler Core's doing 1.6. Trunks would only have, what, stacked an extra 2 times, maybe 3 at a push. So basics, he still would have been tanking them for the exact same. Super attacks, he still would have been one-shotted for. At least we got the heal from Piccolo. I completely forgot about the heal. But this is actually a pretty good turn for us. I mean, this guy doesn't actually have to super attack because there's no one in slot 2. And I'm going to save the rest of those for LR, Vegeta, and Trunks. So this entire fight now is going to be techie. This entire fight is going to be a constant risk of Trunks can be super attacked at any moment and he will die. Currently anyway. Any moment if he is to be super attacked within the next few turns, unless of course we kill him, which is more likely than getting Trunks to enough defense to be able to tank Cooler Core's super attack for very little worry, it's pretty much kill or be killed at this point for Trunks. I mean, the rest of the team is fine. You know, at least he has that in his favor. But right now, it's kill or be killed for Trunks. At any given moment, he can be super attacked and he will die. If he has a Whis active, he will survive. He will still take a decent amount of damage, especially at this point because he doesn't stack defense that much. Because we've only just got him into Super Saiyan. But for him, it is killed or be killed at this point. We finally got him on rotation with Vegeta and Trunks. We could actually put him in slot 1, but doesn't really matter. We're up to 1.3 million attacks, which is good. We're up to 538k defense, which again, kind of currently makes no difference because basic-wise, he's already tanking Cooler for double digits. It's the supers. So I am going to Whis just because Vegeta and Trunks haven't stacked that much and they need to. And at least if Trunks is to be super attacked, we have a Whis covering him if Cooler does decide to be a bitch. So that is a possibility. So far, I mean, he's doing well. He's doing well. We have got lucky. I mean, Dokkan, you do need to get lucky here and there for certain units to not get hit with supers. Even the better units in the game, you need to avoid super attacks like early on while they're building up, things like that. And Trunks won't be super attacked, which is good. So the Whis, I was going to say it was wasted, not really. We're up to 6.1 on the attack, which is not bad. But defensively, we could take a big jump if we hit some additional. So there's one super, there's an additional. I'm not sure. Has it been 4 turns since he's been in Super Saiyan? I don't think it has. No, I think this is literally only his second appearance in Super Saiyan. So we're still only on attack and defense plus 50%. We don't even have the full key plus 4, 100% defense, attack and defense just yet. Which also means we don't have the 50% chance of additional super. So right now it's still the 70% chance and also the potential system. So Trunks still isn't even fully built up yet. Which, again, is, I mean, to be fair, we have an item active. We might as well just do this. Which, again, is why I'm just like, oh, he should have been given guard. He should have been given guard. Like I said, right now, you're facing still one of the hardest hitting enemies in Dokkan. At any given moment, as I've already said, if he gets super attacked, he's dead. Without an item, he is dead. Because he has to solely rely on his stats. He has nothing else going for him. Yeah, by this point... Oh no, actually by this point he would still have his guard. But say we were in the event a bit longer, or say Sin Shenron, a Mega from the Shadow Dragon event on JP, even against Broly, he has type advantage, but you know, the longer fights where that guard is more likely going to run out, or maybe even if he appeared on turn 1 against the Cooler Army phase, You know, he would have lost his guard by now, but then his passive at least would have been fully built up. So we would have had a bit extra. And to make things even worse, he's sealed. So no matter what happens this turn, Trunks is useless. Even if we pop his active skill, it's pointless because we can't super attack. What a bitch. You could have, like, done it to him, like, you know. He's up to 816k defense, which is great. But Cooler still does double that on a super. He still does double the amount of damage on a super attack. Which means, if Trunks is to be supered right now, I'm pretty sure we're still dead. I'm pretty sure we are still dead. But I mean, the possible damage Trunks could have done to Cooler this turn, especially with an extra bit of his passive, especially with that 30% chance to crit within the same turn with each attack performed, the possibility of additionals, of course also stacking by 50% attack and defense each time he supered. We could have done loads and loads of damage, which is great, even before you consider the active. I mean, he's done a plethora of basic additionals. This could have been the turn we could have seen Trunks super attack 3 or 4 times. Such a bitch move. Such a bitch move. Even though we still have... What have I taken him in against? I can't actually remember. We're going against Cooler Core right now. Okay, I've done 3 other Trunks videos. All we have left now is Shadow Dragon event. Because I think I've decided I'm actually going to wait for the final stage of the new red zone before I start using units in there. But with the Shadow Dragon event, I think my conclusion on Trunks is he's good. But again, I think it's that same thing that I kind of concluded near the beginning, which was he's very risky once you first turn Super Saiyan. Stacking him, you can stack him very quickly. Again, with how hard the units around him can hit, depending on the team build, but just naturally a lot of them do hit very hard. You might not be able to get him to where you need him, to the point where he can tank a super attack just by sheerly relying on his defense alone. Cooler Core definitely not. Shenron maybe, but Shenron hits so hard from the very beginning that Trunks is going to be a risk at every point in that event until we get his defense to like 1,000,000 or above. But he can do a lot of damage, which is great. He can stack up very quickly, which is great. The key +2 is very nice. Building up his passive is a bit long. I can't lie. I mean, to be fair, it is at the start of each turn, which doesn't include his. It doesn't just include turns in general. So he was actually fully built up by then. So at least there's that. But I do still think the guard would have made a massive difference, especially while you're waiting for him to build up, especially while you're waiting for the passive. That's my only issue with this unit. I think if they gave him guard, it would have done a world of difference. But his real test will come against Shadow Dragon Sin. But so far, he's been doing very well. Considering he's a unit that needs to rely on sheer stats, he can do it very quickly. He can build up and stack very quickly, which is great. And the amount of damage he can do, especially once he's in his active, with that crit, amazing. But we'll see how far he can get by just relying on sheer stats against Sin. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I'll see you next video, guys. Take care, have a good rest of your day, and peace.